Hello, car sales people. Today we are talking about the test drive, how you can be the most effective during your test drives and how you can set yourself up for success. I'm going to go over the tips and tricks that I've learned to help you get on the right track. The test drive is a super important step of the sales process, and I go over the whole sales process in my Cars Unlocked Academy. If you guys want to check out my free webinar called The Do's and Don'ts of Car Sales, make sure you guys click the link below to watch my free masterclass webinar. Let's jump into the video. So rule number one is you actually have to go on the test drives. This sounds pretty elementary, but you don't know how many salespeople skip their test drives and they're wasting a very important step. Going on the test drive allows you so many advantages. You can build rapport with your customer. You can tackle their objections when you're on the road. You can show them the features and how the car operates while they're on the road. If you're staying behind and letting your customers test drive by yourself, you're definitely missing out and you're just being lazy. So go on your test drives, especially in today's day and age. If somebody is comfortable enough to get in the car with you and go for a drive with you, then it's gonna make things much easier for the rest of your sales process. So that's step number one, is go on the test drive. Let's talk about what to do while you're on that test drive. So typically I like to get in the back of the car and sit in the back and let my passengers drive up front and experience the whole car. Generally, I'm not talking and showing them all the features about the car. I did that in my presentation stage already, in my product demonstration stage, which is a step before in the sales process. I generally sit here and I be quiet and I let the car sell itself. I let them hear the noises of the car, let them listen and let them try out the controls. Sometimes I'll speak up and I'll just say like, hey, I'm gonna put my heated seat on. Do you want your heated seat on? And that's just a quick little subtle way to show them some features. Sitting in the back is certainly important. Open all the doors for your customers, especially if it's a female, you know, just be polite as they get in the car, open and close the door. As they're getting out, jump out and open the door for them as they get out. Ideally, you'll have a route planned out where you want to go. So I have a nice route that's mixed between highway, city, and it just goes along. It's about half hour, 45 minutes. You have a nice route. All the roads are nice and smooth, so it just gives a smooth ride for the customer and lets them feel the car in different environments. And it has some curvy roads, so hopefully around where you are, there's a route like that, and you can take your customers so they get a feel for all the different types of driving environment. Just creating conversation and getting to know the customer a little better and qualifying the customer more. Sometimes I'll just joke with the customer and be like, hey, if I'm talking too much and you want to enjoy the test drive, just tell me to shut up and I'll shut up. Those type of things are just going to let the customer loosen up and feel more comfortable with you and get to know you a little better. One thing I caught myself doing early on in my career of car sales, and I quit it right away, was I was always watching how the customer was driving and paying attention to the traffic and the roads. Looking all around, looking in their mirrors, make sure no one was coming before they turned. And I was scared for my life behind the wheel on every single test drive, and that fear got pushed onto the customer, and that customer would be fearful because they would see that I was cautious or I was anxious, and that anxiety just didn't help with the sales process. So now I learned just to always act comfortable. You gotta be as cool as a cucumber and just always be comfortable on the test drive. Don't pay attention really too much to the roads unless you feel that the driver isn't a really safe driver. Just always show that you're confident and you're comfortable with the customer so that they don't have anxiety issues. As the customer is driving, if you notice them using some of the features or trying out some of the features, this is your chance to kind of explain some of the features. If they're using the Pro Pilot Assist on the Nissan Pathfinder that we're in here and they're struggling, I'll explain to them how to use it and so that they can see it. But I'll also explain a time that I use it as well. So I'll say, yes, I turn this on when I'm driving on the highway and I'm having those long road trips, and it just helps me with my comfort levels during those long road trips and keeps me safe and centered in the lane. So again, just like in your product presentation, you want to relate the feature to a benefit for the customer. Have the customer visualize them using those features in their day-to-day life. So once you feel like the customer's at the end of your route, usually I'll just ask them, hey, have you driven the car enough or do you want to drive further? If you've driven it enough, we can start going back to the dealership. At this point, this is the time to maybe let your customer drive it by yourself. If you want to drive personally or go show your wife please, I can just get dropped off at the dealership and you can take the car for however long you want. And then if the customer wants to take the car solo, they have the opportunity to take it solo. But usually I'll just word track and say, hey, if you've driven enough, let's go back to the dealership. If you're not, just keep going. And I make the customer feel comfortable. I'm the one that's working all day. Your time is valuable, so take the car for as long as you need or drive it as long as you want. Don't worry about me. Before we come back, just say, have you seen all the features of the vehicle? Have you driven enough? Have I answered all your questions about the vehicle? And then you can move into your indirect close or your trial close, which is the next step of the sales process. So hopefully this has helped you get some tips on how to properly go on a test drive with your customer. The first thing is, like I said, going on the test drive. If you guys want to learn more and different steps of the sales process, make sure you guys follow my Cars Unlocked Academy. Join for our free webinar, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have in the comment section of this video. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.